Hello everybody, Calamity here. At least that's what my lawyers told me to say. Today's video is going to be all about Feixiao and how to build her. I've done the process of pulling for her and speedrunning her build as fast as I could on day one of her release. So let's get to it. We're going to go over her traces, Lightcones, Relics, Eidolons, teams, and I'll showcase her and share my thoughts on her as well. But that's a lot to do, so let's get started. Starting with the basic attack. There is nothing special about it. It is a basic attack that does 70% of Feixiao's attack at level 3. Do not use this. If you end up using this, that means you mismanaged your skill points, or you're using a skill point negative team and need to swap some teammates around. You should never use her basic attack, and you can save yourself some resources from upgrading it. What you do want to use is her skill, which is called War Axe. This does way more damage than her normal attack, and she will immediately do her own follow-up attack from her talent against the target. So this is literally 2 attacks in one for 1 skill point. It's a really good bargain for your buck. Bang for your buck kind of thing. Speaking of talents, what does her talent do? And honestly, it's kind of a lot. They have a lot of wordy stuff here. But I'm going to skip the first paragraph because it's talking about how her ultimate works, and we're just going to go ahead and talk about what the talent. So anytime an ally launches any attack, if it's a basic attack, a skill, an ultimate, Feixiao will immediately launch her follow-up attack alongside with your character. So she'll also do a follow-up that does 96% wind damage of Feixiao's attack. She can only do this once per turn. You can't do this multiple times. You can't just, do a basic, a skill, and an ultimate and expect her to follow up each time. That would be too strong. However, once her turn comes again, it will reset the counter. So she'll do another follow-up attack with any teammate, by the way. She'll do this with. It doesn't have to be a specific one. Not only that, but when she does this follow-up attack from her talent, he will increase the damage of herself by 52%. Now, keep in mind, this is at trace level 8, so these numbers in orange can be a bit higher. Now, going back to the top paragraph is talking about how her ultimate works. So, Feixiao does not have the normal energy bar that most characters have, except, for example, Acheron. But she has what's called Flying Aureus. Flying Aureus needs 6 points to activate her ult. And you get points for every 2 attacks you do. So this includes Feixiao herself with her follow-up attacks. This includes your other teammates' follow-up attacks. Or, for example, let's say you have Gallagher on the team who can do a basic attack into a ultimate into an enhanced basic attack, which would result in 1.5 Aureus points. So teammates like that are going to be really, really good for Feixiao. Also keep in mind, Feixiao's ultimate does not count towards the flying Aureus points. That would be way too strong to just basically give yourself an ult back if you can do it that way. Speaking of ultimate, hers is called Terra Split, and what this does is that it does a ton of damage to a single target. It also ignores their weakness type. So even if they're not win weakness, they are win weakness now. And she also gives herself a Ruan Mei buff because her break efficiency increases by 100% while using her ult. Not only that, she has 2 different attacks that she can do while in her ult form. And they're called Bolts Under Blitz and War Axe Skyward. It's easy to tell when you use which attack, because for Bolts Under Blitz, it says right here, if the target is weakness broken, then you get an increased damage multiplier of 28% at level 9. So the way the War Axe works is if they are not weakness broken, then you get an increased multiplier. So if they're not broken, you use War Axe. If they are broken, you use Bolts Under Blitz. And you are not locked into using one or the other. So let's say you're using War Axe and then you break their toughness. You can then immediately switch to a Bolts Under Blitz to keep that increased damage flow going. Remember that you only need 6 points of her Flying Aureus to use her ultimate, but she can store up to 12. But don't feel like you have to store up to 12 points and then you get to do this big 12 hit combo. That's not how this works. Every time you use her ultimate, she will only be able to do 6 hits, 5 of them being your choice of the Blitz or Skyward Axe, or excuse me, the War Axe Skyward, and then she'll do a big finisher with her fist, which deals even more damage. So those are your options there. So that's how her ultimate works. It is very wordy, but it's also very straightforward, and hopefully my visual examples that I've been having play in the background are helpful. Last but not least is her technique, Stormborn. This is basically a mixture of a bunch of characters' techniques mixed into one. So first thing that's going to happen is you're going to enter what's called the onrush state, which lasts for 20 seconds. While you're in this state, you have an increased movement speed of 50%. But not only that, you will pull enemies into you, and they will swirl around you. And you can continue to do this for the entire area as long as your onrush state is active. And then once you've gathered all the enemies, you can hit them. And basically, as long as they're not like a boss, you will instantly kill them because Feixiao just does that much damage. That's basically what all this is saying. However, if you are using her for like a boss fight, if you use her technique to hit the boss first, then you'll get a free flying Arius point when you enter the battle. Also, Feixiao can pull up to 10 enemies, which will result in a 1000% increase multiplier. That's right, you read that correctly. That is insane. That's why she basically insta-kills any enemy that's pulled into the whirlwind. So this is good for some early game farming if you want to just quickly farm materials or get some early EXP for some characters. Stuff like that. This is also good for simulated universe if you do the adventure stuff like breaking the barrels or gathering up the warp trotters. Very, very strong character for, to use for those modes, and basically guarantees them for you that you'll get the max rewards. Keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, let's move on to her major traces, starting with the bottom left. We have Heaven Path. This makes it so that you start with 3 flying Arius points at the start of any battle, and at the start of a turn, if there was no follow-up attack launched from her talent, she will gain 1 point towards her ultimate. So this is like a just in case. Like, let's say your sub DPS that's also a follow-up attack character got stunned, frozen, or something. They couldn't do their thing. You know, you're like, oh no, I didn't get any points because my rotation got messed up. This is like a backup. You'll still get points for her ultimate regardless of a follow-up attack being launched or not. In conjunction with her technique, by the way, you can start up with up to 4 flying Arius points, so you only need to launch 4 attacks to get your ultimate ready. It's not a lot. Her next major trace is Form Shift, and this makes it so that her ultimate damage also is considered follow-up attack damage, and this increases the crit damage of her follow-up attacks by 36%, which is a nice damage boost there. This also means that Robin will increase the damage of her ultimate as well. So really, really nice there. And her last major trace is called Bolt Catch, which makes it so that when you use her skill, she increases her attack by 48%, which lasts for 3 turns. This should always be active. As I mentioned before, you should not be using her basic attack. Now, the rest of her major traces increase her attack, crit rate, and her defense. I know some of y'all might be disappointed by the defense increase, but you know, hey, it does have its usages in Star Rail. So as much as I'd like for it to be speed, it is what it is kind of thing. We're going to move on to Lightcones. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of good options for her other than her signature one. If you can get it, great. You have her best in slot Lightcone. If not, that's okay. Let's talk about some free-to-play ones that are available to you. With the first being Cruising in the Stellar Sea. This is available in Herta's store. If you can get this, you can also get it eventually up to Super Imposition 5. And it's going to give you a bunch of crit rate as well as attack percentage when you defeat an enemy. So this is going to be your best 5-star free-to-play option for you, or Feixiao. Now the problem is, I'm sure you're sharing this with a lot of other 5-star or 4-star hunt characters as well. So it can be kind of annoying having to share it between so many characters depending on who you have. Moving on to 4-star Lightcones, the best one is going to be Swordplay, because the more you hit the same target, the more damage they take, and this will increase up to 5 times. So since she's hitting the same enemy over and over again with her ultimate, this is a really good Lightcone for that. And honestly, going to be the best 4-star. Other ones are just going to fall, you know, way less in performance because their effect is very situational. And it's going to be hard to always get the maximum value out of it. So, yeah, I mean, you can use stuff like Only Silence Remains. River Flows in Spring is awful. And then Final Victor is okay. These are just okay. But Swordplay is definitely the one you want to go to, or Stellar C 5-star Lightcone are your options. Let's move on to Relics. Now for substats for Feixiao, since she is a DPS, we are looking for the usual stuff like crit rate, crit damage, as well as attack percentage and speed. If you do get stuff like HP percentage, defense, or effect res, these are okay, but we don't want multiple of these on our subsets. So you don't want, obviously you don't want like HP, defense, and effect res on one relic. That's bad. We do want more offensive stats and some speed. Because more speed, more turns, more follow-up attacks, more ultimate usage. It's all around just a good stat to get. Eventually, you want to settle down and give her the Wind Soaring Valorous set. This is going to make it so that she gets more crit rate, and every time she uses a follow-up attack, she's going to increase her ultimate damage by 36%, and this lasts for 1 turn. Remember, you can use her skill right before using her ultimate to basically give you this free damage increase. So always use her skill into the ultimate to get the most value out of this set. For the planet set or the planar set, you want to give her Duran, Dynasty of the Running Wolves. This is just going to increase her follow-up attack damage. Remember that follow-up attack damage also increases her ultimate. But this is going to give her straight up just more damage. It increases the crit damage of it by 25%. So this is really, really strong overall for Feixiao. And this is what we want. For the main stats, which I also forgot to mention, sorry about that. Chest piece, either crit rate or crit damage, whichever one you feel like you're lacking from your substats. For the feet, or the boots, we want attack percentage or speed. Remember, if you're really lacking speed, this is going to be really bad because if you didn't get a lot of speed in your substats, it's just going to mean overall less turns. So speed is never a bad investment. I have attack because I'm happy with my Feixiao speed. But don't forget, you can also have characters like Sparkle, Bronya, or Robin, which grant more turns to your characters to make up for your lack of speed. You know, this is your judgment call, basically. If you feel like your Feixiao is getting a healthy amount of turns, attack percentage. If you feel like it's too slow, speed. For the sphere, wind damage boost is what we want eventually. Getting unlucky or bad substats, then attack percentage is okay early on. But you definitely want to get a wind damage one eventually. For the link rope, attack percentage, and, you know, with the best substats you can get. And that is pretty much it for Relics. Eidolons, I'm gonna just quickly go over. This is whale territory, honestly, and she's perfectly fine at E0, just like most characters are. Although I will admit, a lot of characters get quality of life stuff with Eidolons, but I was able to do Apocalyptic Shadow, Memory of Chaos with Feixiao with no problem. So take that for what it's worth. But let's go over real quickly. E1 is going to make it so that her ultimate does more damage. E2 is going to make your talent generate more points of Flying Arius. So more ultimates from this. 3 and 5, of course, going to give those extra levels to skill, talent, ultimate, and basic attack. 4 is going to increase her toughness reduction from her follow-up attacks, as well as increase her speed. And then E6 is going to give her an all-type res penetration on her ultimate, as well as make her follow-up attack count as ultimate damage now. So any buffs to ultimate damage will now increase her follow-up attack damage, which is an insane thing to say. And, well, it's, you know, it's just going to increase her damage overall. So damage, damage, damage. That's all the Eidolons do. All right, let's talk teams for Feixiao. Who does she want to be with? Robin being ran alongside her is going to be an obvious option because Robin just buffs everything. She buffs damage, she buffs follow-up attack damage, she gives more turns. A perfect support, honestly, and the best support for Feixiao currently in the game. But let's say you don't have Robin, who can you use? Don't forget Bronya is available for more turns as well as crit damage buffs. Sparkle as well for more skill point friendly, if you need some more skill points and more crit damage buffs. Ting Yun's ult, I should point this out, does not work with Feixiao. Because remember, you need to launch attacks. That's how she gets points. So giving her energy will do nothing for Feixiao. So just keep that in mind. You also want to pair Feixiao with another follow-up attack character if you can. The best free-to-play option for that will be March 7th in her Hunt form. Because she at E2, she gets a free follow-up attack, which Feixiao can also follow up alongside with. Or just any of her enhanced basic attacks. Basically, these two characters, March 7th and Feixiao, they play off each other. March 7th needs her Shifu. You do a bunch of attacks so she can do her enhanced basic attack. And then Feixiao needs her sub DPS or her DPS alongside her to do a bunch of attacks so that she can get flying Arias points. So these two synergize well together, and she's going to be the best free-to-play option. If you also got Mose, because you were pulling on Feixiao's banner, and you got a lot of Eidolons for him as well, going to be a great partner for Feixiao. Now for 5 stars, I don't have her, but Topaz is going to be a great companion, and she's going to get another rerun banner in the second half of this update. So really good together there. And your 4th slot in the team is going to be your choice of sustain. Ling Sha also being ran in the second half is going to be a good option. Or if you already have Adventurine, also another good character there as well. So yeah, unironically, her best team is called Fart because it consists of Feixiao, Adventurine, Robin, and Topaz. That's honestly her best team that you can get. Finally, we reached the end of the guide, and I just want to talk about Feixiao a bit more and share my thoughts on her. So first of all, Feixiao is an insanely strong character. She can absolutely do all of the endgame content and then some absolutely for free. She might struggle a bit with Pure Fiction, though. I didn't actually use her there because honestly, you know, with her being the Hunt, she's mainly for the boss stuff, unless your name is Seely. But I'm sure if you paired her up with like Herta or Himiko, then she'll do fine as well in the Pure Fiction mode. I think her damage will be overkill unless you're using her to defeat the boss. Is she a must pull for everyone playing the game? Absolutely not. Feixiao is one of those characters that just needs a team, like she needs certain teammates for her to do well. If you don't have a good follow-up attack character, you know, thankfully you do. March 7th in Hunt form, you have that covered as well, but like a lot of supports really elevate these characters to the next level. Like, don't sleep on Robin. I also forgot to mention she could be used with Dr. Ratio as well, if you want to. If you like follow-up attacks, like the this type of damage, go for it, because she's going to be a great character for it for a while. But if you're not really into the follow-up stuff, then I guess you can skip her for other DPS characters, because right now Kafka, Black Swan are in the banners as well. But I will also say that Dot has been struggling for the last few patches simply because Hoyoverse has been favoring follow-up attacks heavily in all of the endgame content. So for example, Apocalyptic Shadow, the buffs that you get to choose from all favor follow-up attacks. Memory of Chaos, the Turbulence favors follow-up attacks, because the more attacks you do, the more damage that the Turbulence does. So everything has been favoring follow-up attacks, so it kind of really feels like, you know, other damage types have been falling off, but not really. It's not really that at all. It's just once follow-up attacks get cycled out and the next thing that gets favored is Dot or Super Break again or AoE damage or, you know, something else, then yeah, it's gonna feel like follow-up attacks got power crept, but that's not actually the case. It's just more flavor of the month kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to say is that Feixiao can feel really, really strong right now, but that might not be the case, you know, in a few months. But that being said, she's still a really strong character, and because her ultimate can brute force itself through any weakness, she'll be strong in Apocalyptic Shadow or Memory of Chaos no matter what, especially when going up against bosses. So I would only pull for Feixiao for 2 reasons. One being you like her character design or her involvement in the story, or both. Like, you just really, really love the character, then by all means pull for her. She's gonna be great for your account no matter what. Second is if you're not happy with how your current DPSs are performing in the late game. So let's say, you're running that dot team, it's just not as strong as it used to be. Let's say your first half is doing well, but your second half just isn't cutting it, and you need more damage, then definitely consider Feixiao as a character to pull for. Don't feel like you have to pull for her for this character either. Remember that there will always be a brand shiny new DPS in, maybe not the next update, but like the future updates, there will always be a brand new DPS. And that character might be someone you want to pull for or might interest you, so always be wary of that. We do have the Fate collab coming up, and then we have the next 3.0 coming out next year as well, so don't feel too bad if you've missed out on Feixiao. And with that being said, I think that's going to be a wrap for this guide. Hopefully this was helpful to someone out there. If you do like me making Star Rail content, let me know in the comments down below, or just by leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. If you also have additional questions about Feixiao, or just in general about her teams and stuff like that, feel free to ask those as well. I'll do my best to try to answer you. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.